Sorry about everyone, my headset had died before I started basically, so I was in a bit of trouble there. We've got 10 cars on the grid today, not the 11 that we'll see, because Super Guy has decided he can't use the racing line. Apparently I can't stream. FNY. Just pause that. And we should be okay. So far in the session, Surface hasn't been able to carry on his dominance of the pre-season race by getting the provisional pole. Millix Jr. has currently got that with Petrus, who in the Toro Rosso in P3 at the minute, with Matt Noah P4. We've got Blunt in P5, just about 8 tenths off. Cairo pretty much second off. KP in P7, CYP P8. Will in P9 and H&N Racing P10 at the moment. So yeah, it hasn't been a good week for me, I don't think. With not many drivers turning up today. The usual suspects, Kalkas will be back next week. A few guys are on holiday, like Chupa, and a few guys just didn't turn up for one reason or another. But yeah, I'm hoping to still get a race out of this, the first round of the season. So whoever gets points will just do well, I suppose. And the inquiries just after, I doubt we'll match the real life Grand Prix in terms of quality. As well as already posted some stuff on Twitter about him rolling backwards down the pitch on the stream. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. It was quite funny. I'm not gonna lie, but he sits in P9 at the moment. As CYP, there's a few guys running the SLR name this week. As we've signed up, obviously we had CYP anyway, pretty much, he kind of decided that. But we've also got Matt Noah, Blunt, Pete G and AJ who ran yesterday. Unfortunately, no stream yesterday, T2 race hour was not available. But, yeah, as Blunt has retired from second, actually getting P2 as well, ahead of Surface, so he's just done that up, I believe. Currently on board with CYP as he's trying to improve on his time. Will he be able to get anywhere close to the front, let's say 2 or 3 there, as Petrus goes within a 10th of Millix and Surface retires from the session. So the person who won pretty much the last Grand Prix at Austria comfortably is nowhere near. He's over a 10th off. I'd say he's nowhere near it's pretty much 2 tenths off, as KP retires as well. Decided he couldn't get anywhere near that time. He's currently 9 tenths off the pole time, as the checker flag is now out, and HM Racing has retired also at 21-1. So that's him not improving. We're on board with CIP. I think he's the next guy to the line as he comes around the final corner now. Will he be able to get anywhere near the pole time? He comes across the line now, and it's a 21-1 for CYP. It's only a 21-1. Cairo and Will are the only guys on track, as Matt Noah didn't manage to improve on his. Well, he did improve, but not enough to get anywhere near. He's half a second off of Millix Jr.'s time. From Cairo looks a bit all over the show at the minute. Will has done spanning the left right again, and I think Cairo has given up as well. So that is our qualifying session for the Australian Grand Prix. So Millix takes the opening pole just ahead of Petrus, and Blunt, Surface, Matt Noah in 5th. HM Racing, CYP, Cairo, KP, Will, and I can't remember, and that's it, I think. So, yeah, it'll still be an interesting race, I think. Hopefully we can have some battles. I'm not expecting anything, to be honest. But, yeah, hopefully we can still get a good race out of it. Because actually, Milik's improved. Wait, when did he do a 19.9? That is crazy. As he goes a half second quicker, in fact. So he did that in the end. We didn't see that. So he got pole quite comfortably. So he looks like the man to beat so far in this first session. And yeah, hopefully the race will be something pretty decent. Hopefully no retirement, because otherwise it's going to die out pretty quickly. And to remind you all, the A1 race will follow this, as we have rain. Oh dear. Mind you, we've had rain before, and that spiced things up with Mebe claiming the win in Season 4, I believe. Yeah, 'cause he won from Thorium, I think, on that occasion. Obviously Thorium dropping out this season. But, yeah, it should be interesting. As I'm just gonna nip to the toilet. Right, and yeah, as I said, Milik's on pole and producing second. Producer's best qualifying ever. He seems to be a bit more on it in this game, a bit more prepared during the back in the last season. So he'll be hoping to make an impact in this opening round, and hoping for a decent result as well. As they all line up on the grid, we've got Taurus in second. Where is Milik? He's dropped further back. Yes, I was wondering where that first place person had gone. So it should be a decent race. Let's hopefully get one. As we are heading now to 5 red lights, we've got a yellow flag in sector 3. So we're getting ready for the Australian Grand Prix for season 6 of T1, and it's lights out and away we go. We go very quick. As I'm looking for the tyres, it's intermediate conditions, which spices up, and it looks like Milik's has got away pretty well. Petrus has got a pretty awful start, as it looks like Blunt's trying it round the outside. Petrus is ghosting. Milik's has made a mistake on the exit, and Petrus leads the race. And Milik's is already slipping down the order. Here goes Blunt, down the inside into turn 2. Will he be able to get to the lead of the race in the Ferrari? And it looks like Petrus is going to get the inside line for turn 2. Or will Blunt be able to go right round the outside? No, and he gets squeezed out on the exit. And that's him dropping back down into second. There's a bit of a lag bubble there with Petrus. There's an incident in sector 1. I think it's SLR Matt Noah who's had a bit of an incident there. He's looks like he's still got his front wing intact. But we're going to go further forward as we've got a few battles here as Will is looking at CYP. He started last. Remember, as he goes down the inside now. And we can't really tell. We'll get off board from Will because he's got a rev glitch, but that's him up into P5 ahead of CYP. But here goes CYP back again. Maybe take two. Will he be able to make a move? No, he would have been squeezed into the wall there. KP just in behind, and HM Racing looking a bit wild. He hates intermediates, as we found out last week. So he'll be hoping for a drier second half to the race. As we look to the lead, it looks like Millix is on the back of Surface. It was made up a position on him. Obviously, he made a mistake. He was leading pretty comfortably into turn one, and he just seemed to run wide on exit, which has allowed Petrus to lead this race away now. And Blunt in second. He'll be happy with this. Obviously, claiming the last race of last season, so he'll be able to make it, let's say, 2 in a row. In a competitive league racing sense, as he's putting the pressure on. Running a little bit wide into turn 2, Surface tries to get on the back of the Ferrari. But there's still a little bit of a gap. And a little bit of a buffer for Petrus at this point, who's made a great start. He hasn't led a lap as far as I remember. Anyway, so it's his first experience of leading a race, as Millix is not enjoying these conditions after getting pole by nearly half a second in the end. He's going backwards. As it looks like Will is going to try and make the move on the German, but Will is a little bit too far back. He's snatched a break there into I don't remember what that corner's called, to be honest. Into the corner either way. And we're looking a bit further forward now, as Petrus pulling a little bit of gap, and it looks like Surface is going to be a little bit more, let's say, quicker than Blunt at this point in the race. Obviously, he's probably a slightly quicker driver, but Millix has really dropped off the back of the front four, as it looks like CYP's made the move there. I mean, he kind of... Oh, Jesus. I don't know if Will's getting this, but there was a lot of lag there. We'll stay with the off-board view, because I think that might look a little bit better for us. As we head now to start-finish time, and Petrus does the fastest lap of the race, and that is just what he wants, really, going into lap number 3, as Matt Noah actually sets the fastest lap of the race, which is quite interesting. He hasn't pit either, he's just down there, and the HM Racing is just dead in the rain, dead in the water pretty much, in these conditions. There's all small gaps, no real movements, as there's been a spin, and I think Will has... If he's standing still, will he carry on? I think he can get it turned around, as long as he's got no damage. I think he might have, though, as you can see a bit of front wing missing there. His right end plates have gone, so that's Will going into the pit lane, I think. As we're on board with Surface in a minute, who's prowling at the back of Blunt, as he locks a brake there into the left right of turn 9 and 10. But he gets away with it. CYP looks like a guy on the move. These conditions are suiting him. It seems anyway, compared to what he was in qualifying. He's on the back of Millix, keeping up nice. Here's the Finnish driver. And I believe he's the only Finnish driver on the grid at the minute. And we're usually full of them. As he goes round the final corner, Millix gets a bit out of shape. Will that shape an opportunity for CYP as he comes across the line? As he sets the fastest lap of the race. Does the finish. Maestro. Is this game suiting him? He's not using any ERS, so he's saving it. Will he be able to win a race? That's the question. But the front 5 are all together in a minute as we head into lap 4 now. As it looks like Petrus is holding the front guys up a little bit. But we're going to stay on board with Millix, as it looks like Surface is looking very much at Blunt at this point. As CYP's actually got past Milix now, who was, believe it or not, in P5. As I think he made a mistake in that last sector, just picked up on it. And CYP's the man on the move at the minute. He's the one with all the pace as he comes across the line now. Will he set another fast stop? I don't believe he will. I think he's a bit off, about a second off his fastest. And he's dropped a little bit to surface. He was on the back of Blunt still. It looks like he's probably a second fastest, possibly to CYP at this point, when he pulls his finger out a little bit. But Blunt is saving his ERS, and Petrus's not using any either. So they're all just chilling at this point. Just trying to make the least mistakes possible. As the pace seems to be improving a bit, or CRP's pace seems to be degrading slightly. As Milix to be fairly mad with himself that he's made so many mistakes in the race, because he should be leading really. But can we get two SLR boys onto the podium as Blunt, oh, and that's a disaster. As Blunt and Surface try going side by side through turn 9 and 10. And here goes CYP. Will he be able to make the move on Blunt? It looks like a fairly done deal at this point as he goes round the outside. And Blunt actually manages to stay side by side through the corner, which has helped him a massive amount as Cairo and KP are wheel banging into the final few corners. But I think Cairo manages to keep the position. But look at these lot now. Milix on the back of this train with Blunt. As I'm very surprised Surface didn't give that position back, as he kind of forced him and gave him nowhere to go. I'd expect some sort of I don't know, some sort of inquiry after the race for this one, but CYP looks like the man on a mission, and that's going to release Surface to try and get after Petrus as well. And meanwhile, these two were battling a bit. Cairo spins in the middle of the track, and KP gets away with it. It's fair for Cairo, he's got away with it. He was doing a 3-point turn, but he didn't lose any front wing. But he's well down the order. With HM Racing, who's on his own at this point, he doesn't like the intermediates. I don't know how fast these tyres tend to go off at, but can't imagine last. To be fair, last in Austria it was a one-stop with them, so maybe it's a one-stop again. There's CYP. There's chasing down Blunt. Edging towards the Ferrari. Surface sets the fastest lap of this race. CYP locks up into turn 1, does a bit of a drift, Kimi drift, and has his way around now to turn 2. And it looks like Blunt's actually catching the Surface now. Has he made a mistake or something, or is it just me? Possibly. Because it's pretty much a second, it's 1.5 seconds between each car. Just waiting for it to close a bit. I think the man to close it probably is CYP. And the first penalty of the day goes to Cairo. in P8, and it looks like Matt Noah's doing a fairly decent recovery drive from his first incident. As it looks like Millix is going to be the first of the front runners to pit, going for the undercut. I don't think the pits was quite ready for him. He's changing his front wing actually. I think he's had a bit of an incident, and that might be why he's pitting. He's losing a bit of time. I'm just going to put him behind Cairo actually. So it's a miserable day for Millix at this point. And it looks like Blunt's starting to fall off of surface. He's starting to put the squeeze on Petrus. I think if he catches Petrus and they start battling, then these two could probably close up a little bit. As he locks up there into that corner. So it'd be nice to see what the tyre wears like. Obviously at this point we've got to just guess. But I don't know how long these will last. Probably about 14-15 laps, you'd like to think. Until the start, let's say, going off. As Matt Noah picks up a penalty in his pursuit of KP. As we've got an incident in sector 3. Is that Matt Noah? I think it's Cairo spanning the... Yeah, it looks like it was Cairo that's spanning the left-right. As we now head towards the 10th lap of this race, and edging towards the halfway stage. And it looks like CYP is about to make a move on Blunt, who doesn't look particularly fast at this point. Not enjoying the inters, I don't think. He looks fairly quick in the dry, but in qualifying especially. But race pace in the intermediates isn't looking strong. As CYP gets a brilliant exit for the turn 9 and 10, as Millix picks up a penalty on the back of Cairo. Them two are starting to battle a little bit. As Blunt makes a mistake there. You see how much grip CYP has compared to Blunt? It's really struggling. You're gonna have to start sticking it in overtake mode, yeah, as you can see there, they're both using the overtake. Just he's trying to get past and he's trying to defend. But I think CYP will have to do something fairly bold and wait for a mistake to get past Blunt, because in these conditions it's very difficult to overtake, and the Haas driver will find it difficult. As Cairo has been overtaken by Millix, but for how long for? As they head into the final corner, and I think Millix has got that one done. As they head around the final corner, and that's him up into P7. And they're just waiting for everyone else to pit at this point. Well, Millix is, Cairo has to pit again, so he'll probably be stone lost. CYP still behind Blunt, and this is hurting his race a bit, but especially for the race win, as it looks like it's between Surface and Petrus at this point. As Petrus has been fairly consistent. He's been not the quickest, but consistently hot, decent. As it looks like he made a little bit of mistake there between turn 9 and 10 actually. So it looks like Surface is closing in on the Italian driver, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the last Italian driver to win an SLR T1 race anyway was Savis back in season 1. And there's been a lot of races between that. CYP is starting to get a little bit impatient. We'll have a look at the penalty situation because that could be important. He's on 2 warnings as Petrus, while Surface hasn't got any, and that could be fairly crucial. And Petrus's fastest lap is way down on what Surface is, so he's starting to close pretty quick. But CYP, 36.0 CYP. So a few guys are in the 35s now. So CYP isn't one of them. As Milik sets the fastest lap of the race. 35.4 and them newer intermediates. And he's starting to close a little bit on Matt Noah, who still hasn't caught to KP yet. But they're fairly similar pace to Blunt and CYP at this point. As well, if we look at their fastest laps. So KP's fastest lap is pretty much bang on the same. Matt Noah's is a bit quicker. Matt Noah's got a penalty. CYP has also picked up a penalty and another warning. As Surface looks like he's putting the pressure on Petrus now. We'll test his bottle for the lead of this race as he actually comes into the pits. So he's gone for the undercut as Surface, but is he doing a 2-stop? I mean, going to the end on them intermediates might be a bit of a stretch. 17 laps. So I think the thing for Petrus is stay out and go the overcut now, because he's got to get a few more laps out of these, I think. Get it to a lap about 14, and then do your pit stop, and then hope your tyres are better at the end of the race. I think that's the way to go at this point in the race. CYP is really putting some pressure on Blunt, who's they've been following each other around for a fair few laps now. I'm just waiting for one of them to make a mistake. Our Surface actually comes out in a lot cleaner. 11 seconds behind Matt Noah. Milik comes out 9 seconds behind, so I think Blunt and these guys, as CYP goes for the move on Blunt, as they head side by side through the corner. There's a lot of time through there, but they keep it nice, respectful, unlike Surface and Milik earlier on in the race. But CYP definitely went for the move there, and sensed the opportunity as he's starting to smell a bit of blood from the Ferrari. Will any of them pit this lap? I wonder. And yeah, speaking of this, I think that it might be time for Blunt to maybe make that pit stop as Petrus hits CYP and come out. Surface is heading around the final few corners now. He's changing his tyres. Pre is showing some decent pace, and it looks like he's well ahead of the Renault, and that's him still in the lead of this race, provisionally anyway, as the guys ahead haven't stopped yet. And he's also got a lap extra on them tyres that Surface will not have, so a little bit more wear for Surface, and he's lost a lot of time, so maybe a bit cautious on the outlap. As also Petrus picks up a penalty, and that could affect the race. That could probably decide the race, because I don't think Surface has even got a warning yet. No, he's driven extremely well. So the other guys have not picked yet. KP's yet to get a warning. CYP's got a penalty, and Blunt's only just picked up a warning himself. HM Racing picks up another penalty, as it looks like, will any of them be in this lap? I mean, it's about right now to pit. Either this lap, well, it is this lap pretty much, or next lap for the halfway stage, as it looks like it's going to stick as intermediates for the whole race. There's Cairo. He's got a 3-second penalty. Will any of them pit? Blunt pits, CYP stays out, and CYP will be trying to get that overcut to work, just like Petrus did the overcut. So maybe this is a smart move from CYP. As it is a 36.0 for his lap there. As he'll be hoping to try and overcut here on Blunt, who was coming to the end of the pit lane. Will he jump anybody? It doesn't look like. I think Petrus has gone past. And then goes Surface, and then Blunt will just come out just in behind these two, and well ahead of Milik, so he won't have to worry about that. And yeah, it's coming out around 5-6 seconds, I think, as Milik sets the fastest lap of the race. I said he was quite slow at the pits there, And I'm expecting CYP probably to come out just ahead of Blunt here, as I don't know what his sector time was like for the first sector. I don't know if it was anywhere near his quickest. It was his quickest sector time of the race, as he runs wide there. That is not what he wants, but he's set the fastest first sector of his race, which always helps. So what will Blunt be able to reply with on cold tyres? I'd like to hazard a guess not a lot, to be honest. So his battle for the podium is heating up. Battle for the lead is heating up. Nothing really else happening on track. We've got Matt Noah and KP still locked in battle. But except for that, there's not too much more happening, as we're waiting for CYP to jump in the pit lane. He's coming in now. There's a sector 3. Whoa. CYP. So his middle sector was about 8/10 down off his quickest, and that may cost him. As Blunt's coming around the final few corners now, CYP's in his box. He doesn't get held up by Matt Noah there, so he gets away with that. CYP, where will he come out? Blunt's coming around the final corner now. CYP's at the end of the pit lane, and I think Blunt might get him. And that is the case, so the overcut did not work for CYP. Here comes Milix carrying a lot more speed as well. Will he be able to fall foul of the German behind him as well? It looks like he might have got away with that one, but the brave decision nearly did not pay off there for CYP, as he's looking for a first SLR podium since his comeback for last season. I believe it was last season. Season 5? Might be the season before, actually. Season 4. Can't remember. I'd have to have a look. So, season 5. Is it that one? Season 5. Oh no, it wouldn't be his first, it would be his second. Because he got a podium in Japan. I wasn't here for Japan, so that's probably why I couldn't remember. As he's chasing down Blunt, who obviously won that race. It doesn't look like he's going to be winning today. These guys will be locked in battles. It's interesting that KP has caught so much on these guys. And same with Matt Noah. I think it's drying out slightly, not by much. But they aren't miles behind if they can show just a little bit more pace. The surface is still looking at the back of the Italian driver there, and hasn't picked up a warning yet, which is bad news for Truce because he's got a penalty at this point. He needs surface to pick up a penalty really, because I don't think he's going to pick up another 2 seconds this race. It's just a bit too quick. There's CYP still locked in battle with Blunt, like they've been all race. Milix on 8-lap old tyres, so a lot less grip. The thing with CYP is he's got 3 laps fresher than surface and 2 on Petrus, so maybe if he got past Blunt then maybe he could charge a little bit, but I think 8 seconds is too much even for that. Depends how much the tyres go off lap to lap, to be honest. As you can hear, the rev limiter being hit there by Blunt. It's a rev glitch. As they head down the straight now, and as he gets within half second like he does whichever lap, as KP sets the fastest lap of the race. And that's him now closing in on Milix rather than Milix closing in on the front, in front of him, as KP sniffs a podium here, I think. And Matt Noah has been dragged along with as well. And Blunt is still on the front of this trend and still with no penalty as well. CYP's actually got one, so that's something to take into account. Millix also has a penalty. KP hasn't picked up a warning. Matt Noah has a penalty. So really, he has 2 penalties in fact. So KP is probably the best positioned here to make something of this race as Matt Noah's second penalty. If he can get past Millix and then start going at CYP possibly, then that podium would be possible. But he's struggling a little bit at the minute to close that gap to Millix Jr., who's had a better lap this time round, as he's closing slightly on CYP as he's lost the back end, and he's done very well to keep that one out of the wall as he's all over the show. And here goes KP. Will he be able to make a move on the Mercedes while he's being erratic as he comes into the pits? I don't know if he's lost off front wing, but he's in the pits again, the pole sitter. Oh, it's just for tyres. I think he's realised they're gone. Oh, they won't make it. So that's him out of the running. As that gets him out of the way of KP as well, who's now got a free run at CYP for this podium position. As the surface actually closed in on Petrus a little bit. He's got within the second. Obviously no DRS. CYP surface has yet to pick up a warning, and that's crazy in these conditions. And CYP now looks to the outside of Blunt slightly, doesn't get anywhere really near. As Matt Noah is still looking actually at the back of KP. KP's looking a little bit slow all of a sudden compared to Matt Noah, which is a bit worrying for him, because he needs to catch the two front in ahead of it, so the 2 guys ahead of him. I probably hope they battle a little bit, like they did earlier in the race for the left-right, because they lose so much time doing that. The CYP's actually gone for exit this time. Unfortunately, runs a little bit too wide, otherwise he'll be able to make a fight of it. As Blunt's now 10 seconds off the lead of this race. Over 10 seconds, 11 now, in fact. The CYP picks up another penalty, and that could be just the nail in the coffin now, because I don't see Blunt picking up 2 penalties. As we'll have a look at the penalty situation. As so I've still got 0 warnings. Blunt only the 1. CYP now has 3 penalties. That definitely is the nail in the coffin. KP hasn't picked up 1 warning. So KP is currently on course for 4th in this race. He needs a bit more pace though to get that 3rd. We will have to overtake Blunt on track. So Blunt's podium looks out of reach, really, for anybody, as we head now into the, let's say, the latter half of this race, with 10 laps to go. And CYP is just extremely frustrated to look at the back of the race. I don't blame him. He's probably had the front at the minute. I mean, they're running pretty decent pace, as Petrus actually is. Made an error on that lap actually. I think Surface is just trying to. He doesn't know that he does have a penalty. I'm pretty sure of that. And Petrus just knows nothing, because he's thinking maybe he has got a penalty. But the CYP picks up another penalty at this point of the race, and KP is starting to close in, not by enough to really put anything on these guys. I'm looking for the phone, it's next to me. It's starting to, not so die out, but it's been the same for a while, the position in this race. KP is the person that's threatening the podium most. He's about 2 seconds off though. He's closing, but he needs to close a little quicker to make a difference to this race. He's on a little bit fresher tyres to Blunt. CYP's not going to end up on the podium due to his penalties. I'll double check the penalty situation just in case I've missed something. Petrus still only has the one. Surface has none, so he's pretty much got this race. Blunt only has a warning. CYP has 2 minutes to count. Matt Noah has left the session. Ooh, well that is interesting. If he completes the minimum race distance, I think it's 90% or something, or 75% of the race or something, then he'll get the points, but that isn't good. Well, that's Matt Noah's any hope of beating CIP over with. Milik's is still going in P7, but way down the order. And KP is now 7 tenths on CIP, but he's going to make the overtake. As he's using a bit more of his ERS to make something happen, I think. Which makes sense because he needs to do it pretty quickly. There's an incident in sector 3. Milik's again? I think so. Yeah, he's changing this from wing out, so a pretty disastrous race for him. As KP is now really putting the pressure on CYP within half a second. I mean, what race he's had, he's to close the gap with this amount, yeah. He's done rather well. Interesting. But it seems pretty impossible to pass at this track. That's the thing we've found. That people can't get close enough. It's a bit annoying. Especially in wet conditions. Struggling with the grip. And KP's been looking at the back of CYP for how long CYP's been looking at the back of Blunt. He's been down there decades, I think. So he's one of the people you find behind under the sofa. You're like, oh yeah, they were there. I think. Blunt won't probably even know. So he goes CYP again with not a better exit. As he's just going to sit him behind again. Not within 2 tenths though. He's going to just understeer out of this. Or is he? Or is he actually making a legitimate pass on the Ferrari? He's gone into sector 1 and Milik's has binned it into turn 1, and that's him out of this race and getting no points whatsoever. And here goes CYP on Blunt with a bit more of a bit closer. KP is a bit further bit too far back. As into turn one, he brakes very late, but doesn't get the exit he needs. And meanwhile, Surface and Petrus are still at it, but it looks like Surface is going to win this race. He's got a warning though, so only another 2. But for Petrus to win this race, a race he probably deserves to win, to be fair to him. But yeah, CYP right on the back of Blunt. And will he be able to make the move? He's using more of the track now. He's getting a bit more impatient. Will he be able to make the move into this next corner here? He's going down the inside. That is brave. And he runs Blunt out of room there. But that's CYP up into the podium position. But how long? He knows KP is the person that he really is fighting. Because CYP's got so many penalties you would not believe. But he's finally got past after like 20 laps of sitting behind him. But KP is the one who should be Blunt's person to worry about. Will KP be able to get ahead of Blunt or not? That's the question for the final podium position. And Surface is actually closing on Petrus for the legitimate lead of this race. I wonder if he's pushing slightly more, because Petrus has only picked up 1 warning. Surface, I mean, look, I'm putting 0 PS. KP's actually got 2 warnings as well, so that makes something interesting. Will it be a double podium for the Toro Rosso gang? But it doesn't look likely at this point, especially with KP picking up a few warnings. And Matt Noah's actually back in his car. I didn't see that one. So he's probably going to get his 6th place. F1 Cairo has pit after a few mistakes this race has cost him. It looks like Blunt is trying to get CYP back again rather than worrying about KP who's dropping back. And starting to show some pace over the finish. Maybe it's just a slipstream that's keeping them in tow. But you shouldn't really fight CYP, you should really just stick behind him rather than go for it, because he's got the penalties. So many penalties. So if he's smart, he'll just bring it home as it is. And just settle for the P3. I mean, he's not gaining anything by trying to put pressure on him to battle. But the person behind is the person he's really battling. As Blunt runs a little bit wide there. KP gets it more into the corners. And it looks like it's getting a bit wetter again. Which is interesting. Will one of them make a mistake because of the weather changing slightly? As it looks like KP's got a bit of a run on Blunt now. As we are on board, it's only 2 attempts behind. It depends if he's bold enough and brave enough to make a move. And Blunt is short shifting like hell though, as it looks like the Turk is coming under significant amount of pressure from the British driver. And with 3 laps to go, this could pretty much go any way, even wrong. Their only chance. This is me. We don't know. I doubt it, but we just don't know. And we'll see what their fastest lap times are. As it is a 55.3, so I think it's running slightly more than it was earlier. His tyres starting to go, obviously. Blunt being on them 14 laps now, so I don't know if he's just saving a bit, or if if I was KP, I'd use whatever you've got. Probably stick it overtake. Go for it. Give you full power. Especially on the traction zones. Just try and put as much pressure as you can on Blunt at this point in the race. And that's what he's doing at the minute. He's trying to keep up with Stefan Cara goes fastest lap. So that's his point. Extra point. Showing he has some pace. As it looked like KP was about to get a penalty now. It was very close. It looks like Surface is going to win this one, unfortunately for Petrus. As Cara picks up a penalty again. And it looks like Blunt struggling a little bit around the final few corners. As we head on to the last lap. Surface and Petrus are already heading round nearly in the second sector. As these two go to battle. And who will get that final podium position? Will it be Blunt or will it be KP? CYP is currently in that position, but with the amount of penalties he's got, it's looking unlikely. Here goes KP now. He's sticking it into overtake mode. Will he be able to make a move? He's going to make a look on Blunt, who's lost his braking zone. And how much drama will this be as KP tries going round the outside on Blunt into the final lap of the race, by the way, into what is a very dangerous curb there. He runs it, but it looks like KP's got the position on Blunt. Blunt has bottled it, and it looks like KP is going to get the final podium place of this race. He's been waiting patiently, putting in the laps, waiting for the mistake, and Blunt on the final lap looks up, and he went, and like a viper, he strikes when it mattered. And heartbreak for Blunt, an elation for KP, who looks to have claimed the final podium. I don't think he'll know that CYP's got 50 million penalties, but unless he's listening to the stream. But for the final lap of the race, it's drama. But we're going to head to the leaders now, as Petrus has driven a fantastic race, faultless in many ways, but due to penalties, it's going to be Surface your winner of the opening round of the season. But it looks like Petrus will be a force to be reckoned with this season, as it proved today. He was probably the quickest guy out of there, but unfortunately for him, he a few mistakes with the penalties has cost him. As CYP cost a line in third, but it's going to be KP who's going to take the final podium position ahead of Blunt, who, heartbreak for him, he's been there all race, and the last few laps it just didn't work for him. As Matt Noah comes home in P6, he probably could have got involved in that little bit of a scrap if he wouldn't have disconnected. And then we're just waiting for the final two guys of Cairo and SHM Racing, and with DNFs from Milix and Will. So, to be fair, with the amount of drivers on the grid, it wasn't a bad race. The top 5 or 6 were all together pretty much all the race. Milix was in there as well while he was, and yeah, it was a pretty nice race, as in difficult conditions. I mean, it was pretty stale for a lot, but with a bit of concertinaing. But the last few laps were pretty insane, as Blunt manages to get that podium, which I'm looked off the podium by KP actually, is together at the minute. But very, very, very close in the end. And that is round 1 for T1 in Australia, and yeah, I hope you guys somewhat enjoyed it. Hopefully I can sort something out with the numbers, because that's annoying me. But yeah, I'll see you all for the A1 race. Got my man SLR G Racing in there today, and yeah, hopefully we can have a fantastic race there. Probably Montana will win, but hopefully we can have a good one. Until then, I'm the Neo57, and I'll see you then.